Electronics from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your AEW Dynamite review for June 10th, 2020. Starting off the night with a video recap showing us the events of last week. And if you didn't think that 3 people on commentary was enough, well, guess what? We got a 4th. We got a guest of Chris Jericho on the commentary team, sure to bring some comedy gold. We do have Justin Roberts back. I can only assume he was guilted in to coming back to the office, or maybe he felt like his job was getting threatened because the lady that was doing it in his absence is pretty freaking good. But he's back, and he's announcing this upcoming match. We got Butcher and Blade. They have cut out the bunny, which I am very sad about. We didn't really get an explanation, but I guess we gotta just move on because the bunny is with QT Marshall, and I mean, I am just a little bit sad about it. I can't lie. FTR, they're making their in-ring debut, and they're taking on Butcher and the Blade, and they come down in their classic Chevrolet. Are they going to continue to just drive down to the ring? Well, I guess they kind of can do that until they go to another arena, which it seems like we're going to be in the same arena for a while. So this whole gimmick of driving down to the ring might last longer than whatever current gimmick they're doing right now in their little leather jackets. Does FTR stand for first to the ring? No, because it was actually Butcher and Blade that came out first, and kicking off this match, we have the 2 bald men of one from each team in the ring. The bald guy, by the way, in FTR is Dax. The guy with hair is Cash. And I'm going to remember that. By God, I'm going to remember it somehow. They come out in a classic Chevy, and they love having classic matches, or classical style matches. So, you know, they had a pretty old school match right here, and with a spike pile driver, FTR comes away as the winner. Now, what are they doing with Butcher and Blade, first off? Nothing really. Doesn't seem like they have a storyline. I mean, even Colt Cabana has a storyline. So I don't know what the deal is with that. You know, they take somebody away from their group. They're kind of stripping the more interesting parts away from what they were doing and the little videos they were doing. Now they're just guys that are getting beat. First road stops for a debuting tag team. That kind of sucks. Now, FTR, of course they got to look strong, which they did. But are people going to really be into them once the fans start coming back to the arenas? That's what I don't know. So far, I haven't seen anything from them where I'm just like, man, that is just the best freaking tag team that's out there. I listened to their podcast that they had with Jim Cornette, where Jim Cornette was interviewing them. Of course, Corny loves this tag team, and they really believe in themselves. That was pretty obvious from the interview, and they felt like they could have done better, and seemingly WWE kind of treated them like they were just some guys that had good matches. So we'll see what they can do in AEW, presumably with a lot more freedom. But a spike pile driver to win, it's interesting because we see moves like this just in everyday random matches, you know, like with people like Jimmy Havoc. And they be kicking out of them. So, yeah, it's kind of weird when, you know, a once devastating, you know, neck-breaking, career-ending move, like what they did with China in 2001, now, all these years later, and I do mean all these years, it has been quite a while, almost 2 decades. Now it's not so effective, but apparently in this match it was effective enough for the victory here. Tony Schiavone interviews FTR after their win, and the Young Bucks come out in their street clothes, and they let us know that they have been carrying the tag team division, in their words, for the past 15 years. And I'm like, you guys, since 2005, have been carrying the tag team division for all of wrestling. You guys? I mean, that seems like a little bit of stretch in my mind, but they have never they've never had a lack of confidence behind them. So that just seems like a bit much. But these guys are definitely going to clash here in the upcoming future. But first, they start fighting. I'm talking about as far as a match, but no, they actually clashed fist to fist here. Paige and Omega came out to remind us that they are still the tag team champions. And Havoc and Sabian, some for reason, they came down as well, but ended up getting outside of the ring and kind of was irrelevant. I don't know why they came out other than to just make it look more chaotic in the ring, or to just remind us that they're going to continue to be a tag team for whatever reason. I don't know why AEW is accumulating the tag teams, but this is not the end of that, so we'll get to that later on tonight. Now we see the Natural Nightmares getting interviewed. So if you needed your shot of brandy, here it is on Dynamite. Because that lady makes sure she's on every single show. And here she is. It is Brandy, Dustin Rhodes, and Allie, like I mentioned earlier, is with QT Marshall. And Dustin gets a little bit fired up because, see, this is another tag team, by the way, of Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, because why not just make the entire AEW roster tag teams? And he's getting in his face and he's like, dude, you need to focus. You need to concentrate. Because QT, you got Allie, and she is one hot mama. And you will be distracted if you're looking at her. We already seen you be distracted. It's not like we don't trust you or whatever, but you've been getting distracted from this lady from day one. It's the entire reason that y'all got together, because she came out with an apple and you were like, oh. I think perhaps maybe this is a setup so they can end up turning, and Allie was always with Butcher and Blade, and then there's this feud between these two tag teams. But I honestly think they haven't thought this through, and they just decided to just move her to somebody else to get QT Marshall over. Maybe I'm being cynical. We'll see. Anyways, Brandy was there. She was upset because of the jacket that Allie was wearing. Whatever. She should have enough jackets. I mean, how many of those Cody Rhodes belts did she catch? I mean, I'm sure she's got a robust wardrobe collection. All right, we got Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford taking on Statlander and Sheeta. And because it's Justin Roberts, we didn't get the Sheeta, from that lady. God, what is her name? Anyways, I gotta look that up. I keep forgetting. But I love the way she says it, although I like to make fun of it. It's just fun to say, Sheeta. I can't do it. I wish I could. I'm going to leave it to her anyways. I don't want to blow out my voice because I'm not even freaking halfway through this thing, all right? But we're getting there, okay? Nyla Rose, she is dominant in this match, as she should be. I mean, Nyla Rose, she's a big lady. She's got to look dominating. She's doing a really good job of picking her spots. And, even if the match isn't on paper like the most robust match or the most prestigious match, but she does go in there and really make it her own and make sure you get the message. So I like that. Yeah, I ain't got a problem with that at all. And Statlander, I'm a big fan. She's about as thick as my notes tonight. So, I'm a fan of hers. And I mean, because of the space thing, honestly. Because I love space. Oh no. These notes are huge. Anyways, so they have a pretty good match, of course. I like seeing all of these ladies be in the ring because I feel like all of them have quite a bit of a future and name recognition too. Like I feel like you see Ford or you see Sheeta or you see Statlander or Nyla, you're not going to get any one of those ladies confused with each other. I think that's something that's been missing from wrestling for a while, just overall. Whereas I felt like in the past you had just very identifiable characters. You wouldn't be like, is that this person or that person? Of course, we wouldn't be like that, but I'm talking about the average fan who's flipping through. Nyla Rose throws in what looks to be a toy belt, and Ford hits a lady with it and wins the match. It actually wasn't a toy belt, to come to find out. It's just the tiny, minuscule women's championship that they use in AEW. So I don't know what it is with the championships in AEW. They don't really have a style that they're following anymore. I guess the women's title is just like a more squishy version of the World Heavyweight Championship, but then the TNT title is just completely different. I don't really have a problem with that. I'm just pointing out, I mean, I actually kind of like the difference, but it's not normal as far as mainstream like WWE anyways. Let's say that. You know, when they just make all of their logos as the championships, it's yeah. Having something completely different designed is actually pretty cool, and I like that for the TV title. You know, we need more red belts in the business, and we got it. All right, now we see Tony Hawk backstage, and he clears Darby to stand on a ladder and go down a ramp. I've only been on a skateboard a couple times. The first time, I had a tooth like go through my mouth and like get lodged in my lip, and that wasn't fun. And then the next time I was on a skateboard, I think I fell off. So yeah, not a skill that I ever picked up, but I wish I could have. But yeah, I wiped out hard, and this boy right here, Darby Allin, is wiping out like crazy. I mean, like 10 times on top of this ladder, going down on this ramp, and just wiping out every time. And then he finally nails it. So I guess we got to see all the bloopers and outtakes. And Tony Hawk just kind of smiles and is like, yeah, you're good. Whew. And that's the end of that segment. So we see his skills. So he couldn't wrestle because he had hurt himself by doing a skateboard move through a table. So now that he's cleared, he just does something crazy and wipes out a bunch of times. I mean, that makes sense in the skateboarding world, but it doesn't really make sense that you would punish your body like that when you gotta wrestle. You know what I'm saying? But I guess it's just to show how freaking tough he is and how willing he is to put his body on the line. And if that was his only goal, well, my God, did he succeed. Britt Baker has a package about her being a role model, and I always applaud that because the role model thing is working to me. She even had her little mobile unit, whatever she's calling it, where she's it's all just royal looking and snooty. She was in the crowd, so you saw her for some segments. Now we have the Inner Circle. It's Hager, Santana, and Ortiz taking on the Best Friends with Cassidy. So the Inner Circle, they just put the beat down early on Friends and Friend. And Chuck in this match is wearing a shirt to hide his shame. So, you know, that's good. Cassidy, his time was a little bit off when he finally got the hot tag in the ring, but he very suddenly snugged that thing up. And, you know, he really is just like a character that's standing out. And it's so strange. I never would have thought that somebody his size would be getting over so much. I mean, it's hard to tell because the fans aren't there. But just from what I've seen online, I've seen a lot of GIFs. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I've seen a lot of fan art. Like all the indications from the social media side show me that people really care about what he's doing. And that's awesome because when I first saw him, I'm not going to lie, I was like, this dude put his hands in his pocket. How am I going to get behind someone like this? And now I'm like, pretty good. But Hager, he does a lot of cutoffs in this, but somehow Cassidy, getting ahead of myself here, Cassidy, he gets a slow and terribly executed pin for the win. which kind of killed the momentum of the ending of the match. So pretty much everything up to that was good. It was just that which was a little weird. Apparently this made Jericho furious as he comes down and starts beating down Friends with Friend with a baseball bat. Because, I mean, why not just introduce chaos into this situation? I don't really know why Jericho has a bat. I guess it has something to do with Clockwork Orange, and he was attacking an orange man. Orange Cassidy got hit, started bleeding. The man literally orange juiced. I wrote this joke down, and then Chris Jericho gets on the microphone and freaking says the same joke, and I said, no! Oh, he stole my joke. Oh. But it was just a pure orange crushing right here. I mean, the man just... Poor Cassidy. Cassidy. He's just getting beat. But that's okay. People love Cassidy, and they'll love it when he finally gets it back. It's kind of like in that Pac match at the pay-per-view previously, where these two guys fought. The crowd was going absolutely nuts. I guess that was at Revolution, and just to see him fire up with his hands in his pockets and take control of the match, people were losing their crap. It was insane. Anyways, MJF, he is doing an interview semi in front of the crowd, which is good. I like that, you can hear more crowd reaction. It's something we're kind of deprived of. We're kind of used to just empty rooms, and just, trying to stay away from people and stuff like that. We can't really just all get up together and just be like, yeah, although we want to. Oh, it's so sad. But MJF, he gets to do his promo in front of this small crowd. He's a little bit close to Billy Gunn. Suspiciously close, I might add. And he's talking about his Dynamite diamond ring that he's so proud of. He's MJF, yada yada. But he disrespects Billy Gunn, apparently. And then Billy Gunn gets upset at this. He wants to fight. MJF talks crap about Billy Gunn's son. Billy Gunn's like, oh, no, you did not, and gets all uppity up in the man's face. So looks like these guys are going to be having a match. I believe they're going to be having a match at Fyter Fest, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe that's either way. That match is coming to you soon. Next up, we got Sammy Guevara and Colt Cabana. All right. So, Colt Cabana, I didn't think they was going to have anything to do with this man in AEW. I'm like, what storyline are they going to put Colt Cabana in? But he's doing this thing where he's got a water from the Dark Order. Is he going to join them? I'm like, my gosh, he lost a match. So he's got to get help from them. Because, of course, who else are you going to get help from? The most successful man in AEW? Brody Lee? And his cohort of guys, which, by the way, 5 is Alan Angels. He's wrestled a couple times in the past in AEW, so I guess he's signed? I don't know, but he's number 5 if you're counting in their little Slipknot identification methods, so whatever. But they have a pretty decent match, but Sammy Guevara comes away with the victory, and because Colt Cabana has lost, this triggers the entrance of the Dark Order with the Exalted One, and Brody Lee offers a hand to pick up Colt Cabana, and he takes the hand. Guevara talks. Hardy comes out, and Hardy, he's cool. He's complimentary. He's a very nice guy, but Matt says, by the way, Matt says that Sammy Guevara reminds him of a young version of Matt Hardy, and I said, no, Matt Hardy in 1999 and 2000, even in 2001, he was not cutting promos. And when he did cut promos, they were not necessarily good. They were usually like, we're going to go out there and we're going to win. Let's get them. Let's go. He didn't really talk a whole lot. And yeah, he was popular as crap. But he was not the flashy one in there, and Matt Hardy wasn't as popular as Jeff, and I mean, that is no secret. And Sammy Guevara, I would argue, as young as he is at a better starting point. Yeah, I mean, but the Hardys, like as a tag team, definitely more popular. But yeah, if we're just going to talk about skill levels, Sammy Guevara is a little better than they were when they started, or at least Matt Hardy. So I think it's funny because you can use that as a revisionist history, and that's what they're doing. But anyways, they do all these transformations and whatever, delete into that segment. We see a long-haired dude drinking in the bar. No, it is not Paige, it's Joey Janela. He's drinking, and then he's just upset because he's lost. So apparently they have some kind of storyline involved with him. What is it going to be? He goes outside, and Sonny Kiss picks him up in or what was it? I think it was a Mustang. I don't remember, but it was some kind of convertible. Picks him up, and then they ride away. So are they going to start a friendship that turns into a tag team? That would be something interesting, other than just debuting a tag team and being like, hey, these guys are a tag team now. Establishing that they're friends first and then they tag later. I like that idea. Dasha interviews Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana, with an ashamed look in his face, goes down a dark tunnel into the Dark Order's offices. So what's going to happen there? Well, we'll find out maybe next week or maybe not. Moxley, he's the champion. He's backstage. No, he's in the parking lot, and he's sounding drunk like he does. I don't really understand that. Talking about Brian Cage. Is he going to beat Moxley? He tells Taz he should shut up, and what separates him from everybody else in AEW, and I'm listening with all ears. I'm like, what does support you, Jon Moxley? Like, what separates you? What separates you from everyone else? I want to know. Well, he says that he is miserable, and I said, that's not the way I would want to ever define myself. What is he talking about? I mean, I know he's trying to say that he's like a deranged, like never satisfied kind of guy, but it just, I don't know if that's the right look. But Taz appears, because why not? And Cage then appears. He's uncaged. He uncages on Moxley. They break a car window. They get slammed on the car. It's like a Chevy Cruze. And Jon Moxley gets tossed on the glass. And he's cut up because, they had a backlot brawl on NXT in your house. So why not days later just do the exact same looking thing on AEW? Is it parody? Is it mocking? Is it tribute? The world may never know. And the world may never care. And we get a hard cut from this devastating action to a video about how great Cody Rhodes is. And even JR, the sound in his voice when he said, well, it's just, it was so like dramatic, and he's like, well, that's the end of that segment. And then they went to the next thing. We got the main event. It's Mark Quinn taking on Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship here in the main event. Arn Anderson is with Cody because he needs that moral support. And I don't care who you are, not one person in the entire world thought that Mark Quinn had one single iota of a possibility of winning the championship tonight. It just wasn't going to happen. But here he is. He's getting an opportunity anyways. He does a 450 splash on the ramp, and I said, ouch. My goodness, why does he need to do this? He does not need to do this kind of crazy, risky, high-flying action from the top of the post to the top turnbuckle to the stage. It's just unnecessary. It's not going to get anybody to believe in him anymore. But I guess that's what he's working with. But regardless, they had a pretty good match. But Cody, he was going to win. He didn't even have to bleed this time. Cody Rhodes comes away with the victory. And I guess you could say it was a hard-fought win, but It just was very apparent what was happening. I mean, I was having a hard time getting into it, but I did like seeing Mark Quinn get an opportunity like that because he is a very talented guy, and he got to showcase it, and he got to do an absolutely insane match, or as far as a absolutely insane 450 splash, so he can compete with Darby Allin in trying to hurt himself. And Cody wins. He hugs Quinn, and then Hager attacks. The party gets crashed by Hager. Inner Circle comes down to help, and Cody gets on the microphone and is like, "You want a match with me? Well, Jake Hager, you're going to have a TNT Championship match with me at Fyter Fest." And JR's like, "Oh my goodness, that means that all the titles are on the line. Holy crap, this is going to be amazing." And I'm like, yeah, I guess that might be an alright match. I mean, Cody Rhodes taking on Jake Hager, TNT Championship. Sure, why not? Well, that was AEW Dynamite, and I will catch you guys next time.